Hi guys, welcome to this video on Subscript and Swift. In this video, we will see the most confusing topic, Subscript, in detail. And Subscript, by definition, is something that we use to gain easy access to a collection. A collection is array, set, dictionary. So let's start with understanding the basic syntax of Subscript first, because there are some questions that usually people have when it comes to the syntax, and many people confuse it with the computed property because there are get and set block. And let's understand further few other doubts. So grab your Xcode and let's get started. So the syntax goes something like this. We use the keyword script. We have parenthesis. And here in the parenthesis, we can expect some value. And we generally name it index. We can return a value. And this is the subscript that we will put inside a class, a structure, or an enum. So subscript actually can be used with all three enum, structure, and class. We will see the examples of each of that one by one. Before that, let's understand the syntax first. Now, when we use this blocks, here the index is a value that we use to access the collection. If it's an array, it could be the index of the array. And what we will return is the value which is there inside the array. Now in subscript we have two blocks, get and set block. I will write it here like this. Now there are two questions that generally people have. First is it's a get and a set block. So it looks like a computed property. We have seen there are 5 types of property, and computed property has get set block. Well, the answer is it is not a computed property. And the other problem, the confusion that people has is there is parenthesis. I see a parameter and a return type. So it seems like a function or a method, but the answer is no, it's not a method as well. It's a separate thing totally. It's a subscript. Now let's understand how this works. So we will take a simple example. I'll create a class here, days of a week. And inside this class, I will declare a property which will be a type array. So this is the property which is having value. It's an array of a string. And let's put a subscript in here. But let's understand when subscript says it is used to gain easy access to a collection. Here we have the collection that is an array of string. What does it really mean? So if I will create here days of week object, I will call it days of week. Now we know one way to access this property. I will use the object days of the week dot days, and I will give here at the index 0, 1, 2, 3, anything, and it will give me the value, and I will print it as well. I will run it, but before that let's comment this syntax because it's a syntax, not a code. Now let's run it. My Xcode is little slow. Yeah, because I'm running the Xcode for the first time, it's slightly slow. It gives the value Sunday, and this is one way we know. Now, how Subscript helps us to gain the easy access? Let's understand that. If I want to write the object days of the week, and I don't want to use dot operator and access that property, rather I just want to give the index here itself. It would be easier, right? So that is where we use Subscript. When I will try to access the property like this, it will actually run subscript and give us the value. Now Let's remember the syntax of subscript. I will write the subscript here. Here, the value that you will give in the bracket is going to be appearing in the parameter here. So I will name it index here, and it is of type int, and we will return the value which is these. So it will be of type string. Now let's put the get and set block as well. Now when we will write days of week 0, what we're doing is reading the value. So when we write days of week here with the bracket, so bracket are the ways we can access, and that runs subscript. And when you give 0, it will come here in the index. Now what we're doing here is reading the value. So it will execute the get block. So inside here, I can return. Since I have the index, I will access days here and just give it index. And that's it. Now let's print this. We can leave the set block as it is, as we are not using the set block to set any values as of now. So let's try running the read part first. I will comment this print, and it will give us Sunday. Let's change the value to 1 and 2 as well, and it gives me Monday, Tuesday as well. And that is how easy it is to use Subscript. It works with Enum, it works with Structure, and it works with classes, as we are seeing. Now let's write the set block as well. What I will do is I will access self.days and access the value. So how to set the value using Subscript? Days of week. I am accessing this 0th index value, and I'm gonna just give it a value. I will say not Sunday. Go. Now this new value will appear in a global variable, that is new value. This is the keyword. So we can just assign it to by accessing the days property here. Also, we can mention it here as well. If you want to mention it here as well. Let's try accessing now. I will copy this, comment all of them, and paste here. Now it is giving me not Sunday. So the value has been changed at index 0, because when you assign a new value, it runs the set block. And that is it. That is how Subscript works with classes. And we have seen an array as well. Now let's understand when it comes to enum and structure. If I will change it to struct, it will still work. Let's run it. Yes, so it says let to where we have to do, because the object must be mutable. Since we are having a subscript which is mutating this property, for it to be able to mutate, the object should be of type where. Now let's run it again, and it gives us not Sunday. Let's print these three as well. So when we changed from class to structure, we can read and we can write as well with the easy access and overwriting a new value. And that is it. That is how Subscript works with arrays and with structure and classes. Now let's see how it works with Enum. So I will create one example here for Enum. So here I will create an example HTTP status and how we normally use enum. First we'll see that, and then we'll understand how subscript helps us in getting the easy access to the cases and their associated values. So here I will write, I'll create two cases, success, and these are going to be the associated types. So along with the success case, I will write a code here, and failure with a code and a message. Message will be of type string. So these are the two cases. We have a method describe which will return us some sort of string whenever we are creating an object. So let's say we are creating HTTP status dot success like this, and we are giving the code. Let's call it success status. And when we say success status dot describe, it should give us the code. When we say failure status dot describe, it should give us the code and the message. So I will write the switch case for that here. Now switch case will check the self, which is the caller, that is this, and then it will run the cases based on that. Let's say we right now have success status, so it will run this case, and the value code will come here. So we have to capture the associated value 200. I will create a variable for that code, and in here we will return success code is going to be code, and a case for failure. So for code we will say let code and capture it, and let message, and here we will return a string. I will have to remove this parenthesis here, and failure code is going to be code, message is going to be message. Let's run this. I will create one more, that is failure status, failure with code 404. Now I will comment the above print functions. Now let's run it. Okay, so before that I will call failure status dot describe. So this is how normally enum works. Let's print them as well. Let's run it now. And it says success with the code 200. It is executing this case, and failure code 44, message not found, executing this case. This is how normally we access the values. Now let's understand how subscript is going to help us. So what I will do is I will comment this function, and here I will write subscript, but let's understand what kind of easy access. Now we always know that subscript, we use the bracket to access the value. So if I want to say, I will write it here. This is the first way to access it. And the second way is the subscript. Now suppose we have this success status, it's a enum value, and instead of calling describe here, I want to just ask for the value, that is code. I'll give it a string code. What do I mean by that is this value has 200, and what I'm asking for is the code. And similarly here I can say failure status, and inside that I can say code and it will give me the code. I can ask for other information like, sorry, I have to give it in string so that we have a common type um, for how we are asking the value, and we can ask for message. And this becomes the input to the subscript. Let's write subscript for it. So again, using the keyword subscript, inside that the value we will receive inside the bracket is of type string, and I will call it key, and we will return a string. Now we have the get block, and set block. We are not going to execute the set block, so I will remove it. And since we are going to have only get block, we can remove it as well. And let's write here, because now the get block will be inferred automatically, so we don't actually have to write it explicitly. Now I will write a switch case. So it will check for the self, that is the caller, that is success status. And based on that, we will say case.success and create let code to capture the code. And in here, in this case, we will check for the value key. If key is code, I will return a string saying success code is code. And similarly, we can create a case for success as failure as well. Capturing the associated values with let code and let message. And here I will say if key is equals to code, then I will return success code. Else if key is equals to message, like here we are asking for message. Let's remove this gap. So if it is message, then we will return a string message like this. We can have a default case as well, but because this subscript is expecting a type string, we, instead of giving a default case here, we can just write here unknown. So this will actually be running when we are accessing something which is not there. So let's say I'm giving the value failure status and I'm asking for something totally random XYZ. It's not there, then it will give me unknown. Now let's take a brief go through onto what is happening here. So subscript is expecting a key, and we have to have the value that is success type, and we can use the bracket and give the key. And this is where we are reading the value, and we can just, it will identify what is it that the key is, and it will check for that key here, and it will before that check for the case, and it will give us the string. Let's run this. I will first comment all of this and run only for success code. If there are any print functions before, we don't have any. Yeah, so let's run it now. Okay, okay, I forgot to give a bracket here. Let's run it now. Line 88. I think I'm missing one more bracket somewhere. Let's check for the bracket. So I think we have one extra. Let's select the whole enum also and Control I, that will indent everything. Now I think let's run and check. Describe, okay. Am I accessing describe here? I should comment this. The first way we were accessing. Okay, again, it is giving us, it is returning us the string and we are not printing it. So let's print it again. Now it says success code 200. Let's run failure as well. Again, the first way of accessing, need to comment it. And whenever we are accessing, I need to write print for them as well. And let's run it. And that's it. We get the success code 200. Okay. For failure, I should write here failure code. And it gives us success code, failure code 404, message not found. So when we are asking for the message, it gives us the message. We are asking for the code, it gives us the code. When we are asking for success code, it gives us the success code. And when we are asking for something which does not exist, the XYZ, then it will return us the unknown. And that is how Subscript works with enums. It's pretty easy. And as Subscript says, it is used to gain easy access to the values. So whenever we talk about that, it is all about the brackets. We always use brackets. Now dictionary already has this implemented underneath, but we will take a look at the example here where we are using set and dictionary as our collection. Let's get on to those examples. So here I will write for set and dictionary. So here I'll create a structure favorite foods and we will have a property in it. I'll give it a value fries. And in here, what I want to do is write a subscript to read the value from food property, write the value to it as well. What I'm doing is I will create favorite food object and call it favorite foods. And what I can do is open the bracket and inside that I can give a string, let's say burger, and I'm reading this value. Right now we have value fry, so I will give it fries and let's read it. So I will use subscript keyword and inside that what are we expecting? We are expecting the value of type string and we will call it let's call it food and it will return us the food that is of type string. Now we have the get set block here. So when we are reading the value, we know that it will execute get block. So here I will access food and I have to write dot and contain and give it the food. So what I'm doing is this food contains food, the one we received in the parameter of subscript, which is this. If it is there, then it will return that. And when it will return, I will print it. Now let's run it. Let's run it. It says cannot convert return expression of type bool to return type string. So it is checking only if it contains there. If it's there, it will return true or false. And we have to mark it as bool. And it gives us true. Now it's not pushing this away. If you rerun it, it will go and it says true. So if the food contains the food, then it returns true. Now let's assign a new value or add a value to the set. I will say favorite food and I will say a new value and I will assign true here. Why we are doing that is because this true will come into that global variable new value and I will check if it is true. Let's add the food that we received, that is burger, to our set. So we'll access foods dot insert food and it will be adding that in. If I will say false, then we should remove it. So foods dot remove food. Now let's add burger and check if it is added. So I will say burger and it will receive a value. We have to print that. Let's not access fries. And I will comment the previous print functions as well, which is this, sorry. And that's it. So what we are doing here is we are adding the burger, assigning it a value to. So when we are adding a value or giving a value, it will run the set block, it will check the value, new value, and it will insert. And then we are reading the same value. Let's run it. Okay, so it's a structure and we have created a let here. It should be var because we are doing modifications to the property food. And that's it. It adds the value. If let's add one more value. Sure. And let's access it as well. Let's run it and it gives true. Now if I want to remove the value, let's say I want to remove value burger, so I will just assign it as false, and after that if I will try to access it, it will say false, and that basically means it does not contain, so it returns full. And let's do one more thing. Let's ask for the value which is not there at all. So I will say favorite food dot sushi. Now it's not there, so it will return me false. No, so this is the value which is not there, so it will return false. It returns false, and that is how Subscript works with set. And let's take a look at, I will mention it here set. Let's take a look at how it works with dictionary. So I will create a structure here, user preference, and create a preferences. It will be of type dictionary where the key is string and the value is also string, and I will initialize it with an empty value. There is no value as of now. Now let's write a subscript for it. So I will expect a key which will be of type string because the values inside the preference, the key is of type string, and it will return me the value which is of type string. Let's write the get set block. In the get block, so let's create object first here, call it user, and we'll say user preference, open the bracket for subscript and give it a key. So I will say theme and assign a value dark. So it will take theme as the key, and now what I will do is actually look for the value. So I will say preferences, and I will insert, I will just give it a key. If the value is there, then it's good. If the value is not there, in that case I will give it a default value. I will say not set. So if you're just reading it like this, it will execute the get block, and if you give a value, it will execute the set block. So inside set block, we will receive this value in the global variable called new value, and all we have to do is assign it to preferences and give it the key, and that's it. That's how easy it is. Now here we are assigning the value, so it will run the set block. Let's read it also. User preference theme. It will return me the value if it's there. If it's not there, it will return not set. Let's print it. I will, before running it, comment all the print functions from above. Let's run it now. It's taking some time. I think my Xcode is slow. Let's wait. Okay. Failed to launch process, some sort of problem with the simulator. Let's try running it again. So the Xcode was crashing, so I had to stop recording and start uh, the Xcode again. And the very first thing we see is this problem. Now we are using structure and we're using let. We have to make it where to allow the modifications. Let's run it now. So we did the change so that the preference is the property. For it to be able to change, the object should not be of type let, because once it is defined, it will not change. But it is going to change since we are going to, when we will access it, when we will assign a new value, like this kind of operations we will do. At that time, we will have to have var here. So I think it's loading the script. Let's wait. And when I stopped recording, it took some time but gave us the value. Let's run it again. Meanwhile, it just gave the value dark. And now what we can do, this is reassigning the value. This is reading the value. And what more we can do is change the value as well. So if I want to change the value, I will access it first, and that will be theme, and I want to give it something else and print it now. User pref theme. Let's run it, and it gives us light. And that is it. Let's take a recap on it. We understood what is subscript, the syntax, and the doubts on syntax basically. And then we saw an example of subscript. We looked at how it works with classes and structure. You can change it to class, you can change it to structure, this keyword, and it will still work. So we know that subscript works with enum class structure. We saw how it works with structure and class, and then we saw how it works with enum. Then we saw the collection, what all collection it works with, that is array dictionary. Instead we have three in Swift. We started with the array, that is something we looked in the previous examples, which is in the class and structure here. And we looked at set, which is food, set of string. You can give that data type to a dictionary as well, and it works pretty well. Now let's understand the concept of the overloading subscript. That is, when you have this one subscript here, if I want to have another one here, that simply means you are overloading subscript. Let's have a new example for it. I will undo this and write here. So when it comes to Swift overloading, I will create a class here or a struct person, and inside that I will have a property details, which will be of type dictionary. Now here you can keep it array and set as well. For this example, I'm keeping it as dictionary and assigning it no value, keeping it as empty. Now here I will write one subscript, and after writing this one subscript, I will write another one. Now this one will be taking a key and it will return an optional string. That is, if there is a value, then it will return. If it's not, it will return nil. In that case, we will use nil coalescing operator to safely unwrap it. So let's have a get block and set block here. In the get, I will say details key. If the value is there, it will return the value. If the value is not there, it will return nil. So I will actually just give it some unknown as the default value. When we are setting a value, I will give some space here. When we are setting the value, I will say details key and give it new value. Let's understand with the creation of the object. I will create person, and since it's a structure, I will create var and not let here. Now we will use the person and give it bracket and give it a key. So I will say name Alice and another entry as age. That's it. Let's access it, person with name, and let's run it. Before I run it, I will comment the previous. Okay, this also should be into string. Let's comment the previous prints and we can run it now. And it gives optional Alice. Now let's create one more subscript. Now here I was taking the key. What if I take the index? I will write person and give here the index. So that index will represent index of details. So there are few values suppose here, and we will give the index here say 0, then it will give me the key and value present at the index 0. So for this to work, I have to write the subscript. Here I will say index, which is of type integer. I will accept, and here I will write key. I will return key and value. Now To return to parameters, we have seen tuples, so I will use tuples here. The key will be of type string and value will be of type string, and the whole thing we are returning could be optional because you can give index which is out of uh, the bounds. So in that case we'll return nil. Instead of returning nil, we'll return some kind of tuple. Let's write the get and set block first. So in the get, I will look for, so in the get, I will say array of details. That is, I'm taking this into an array and I will call it all details. And then I will check for the value, that is the index that you are giving. Let's say we have 5 values, so we have the index available from 0 to 4. But if we give 5, we don't have a value. To handle that case, I will write here. So what I'm doing is I am converting the dictionary type into an array first, and then I will using it to give to get all the counts. Here I need to give space, and this error will go away. And that is all. That is it. All I have to do is just access and give that value. We are not using the set block here because we are just focusing on learning the overloading subscript. And let's access using this subscript. I've given an index here, and since we have the value at index 1, at index 2 we, at index 0 we have name and Alice, at index 1 we have age 33. So this is the key, this is the value. Let's access the 0th index 0 value, and I will print it as well. I will comment this print from previous. Let's run it now, and it gives us the key and the value, that is name and Alice. Let's access index 1, and it gives us name value. It should actually give us the age and 33. Let's run it again, and now it gives us age and 33. So don't know what happened there, but I think it was my Xcode being slow, I guess. So let's try that again. I will run person0, and it gives me the value at index 0, that is name Alice. It gives me name Alice, and try with 1. It should give me age 33. So it is kind of giving some problem. Let's run it again, and now it gives me age 33. And that is it. When we talk about overloading subscript, this is how we do it. We can give more subscripts in here. Now we did it for structure, we can do it for classes as well and enum as well. So I hope this video was informative for you and you enjoyed the learning. And if you have watched this video till the end, congratulations, you know everything that is there that you need to know about subscript. You will not have any doubt, and you can actually unleash the potential that is there with Subscript. That's it. I will see you in the next video.